All right, guys. So, Aries Nutrition, guys, what's going on? This is very exciting because this is actually going to be the very first episode to the Aries Nutrition podcast. So, for all of you who've shopped in the store, who've met me, you guys know when you come to the store, there's a unique experience. You get a lot of knowledge. You just get a lot of information. So, I kind of wanted to expand on that into a podcast from the store with different individuals, different points of view. Just a lot that has to do with the industry. So the first podcast, I'm actually bringing somebody in called Tim. He's from Every Calorie Counts. So he's a top level coach. Me and Tim spoke for a while. I wanted to be able to provide, again, Aries Nutrition is more than just pre-workout and protein. We're very diverse with everything we provide to the consumer because it's not just working out. There's different aspects to just the working out, besides just pre-workout and protein. So one of them is actually coaching, is the whole aspect of health, okay? Coaching goes a lot more than just, hey, listen, here's some food you gotta eat, and do 5 reps and 10 sets, and you're good to go. There's a lot more to that I think gets watered down through a lot of the industry so-called coaches. So I wanted you guys to actually meet firsthand a top-level coach, a coach that Aries Nutrition backs 100% in what he does. So I'm going to introduce you guys to Tim, and I'll let Tim kind of give you guys a background on what he does, why he's so different a little bit, which we'll get more in detail. But go ahead, Tim, let people know, man.
Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate it, and we're excited to be with Patrick and Aries Nutrition and going forward the relationship that we'll have. So we're excited for that. Thank you for that. But in terms of my own personal background and kind of where Every Calorie Counts came from, I will go all the way back to starting in the gym. When I was 16, 17, probably 17, 18 years old, tail end of high school. I was the kid that never went to high school. I skipped every class that I could possibly get the opportunity to skip. Mm-hmm. Went into senior year looking at 4 different gym classes that I had to get complete, right? So I'm dead serious. It was 4. And so they actually let me stack all 4 of those gym classes at the end of my day.
Okay.
And right around the same time, the high school, Keyport High School, they had just come out with built a new weight room for the football players, right? So, and that was attached to the gymnasium where we did gym class. So what was pretty cool is they let me I did my first 2 gym classes within the within the gym class itself. Mm-hmm. Then the last 2 gym classes, they let me spend that in the weight room. And at first I could care less. Like, dude, I didn't have any impulse to be in the weight room, could care less about them, didn't even know what the fuck the weight room was, you know what I mean? And then I remember the thing that really got me kind of hooked or kind of obsessed was the idea that there was, they had a little poster up or whatever, and they called it you had the 200-pound club, the 300-pound club, the 350-pound club, and it was all for bench pressing.
Yes.
So when you start, that's all you want to do is bench press? Yeah. So I'm dude, I got to get...
the number one manly exercise
I've
ever.
And that's the thing, I was going to say the most unmanly person, but I was the smallest dude. So I still have pictures from when I was in high school with all my friends, and you could see I'm by far the smallest guy. I'm looking at 135, 145 pounds. I'm 5'9". All my friends are 6 foot somehow. So I'm 5'9" now, and all my friends are 6 foot. I don't know what we were in high school, but I was obviously the smallest dude.
You just stayed the same height, just straight from high school.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, no. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I mean. But. Yep. Whatever that equated out to when I was in high school. But mm-hmm. So I'm walking around, I'm the small guy, I'm the smallest friend, so now I'm in the gym, I see this, club, and at the time, our football coach, we had a pretty good football team for a small school.
Yeah.
And our football coach was big on the weight team, big on the weight room, and I remember there was this sheet. I don't know how old school you are with your training, but there was this benching sheet,
okay,
right, which was pretty common back in the day, where it would literally give you a scheme to work through, where you would start. It'd be week 1 through 10.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
It'd be
the progression of in the old times. How they had
exactly.
Yeah.
So it'd be week 1. It'd be you would do, if your max was, let's say, 150 pounds, you would start with 80 pounds. Do that for 10 reps, and the next week you would come in, do 85 pounds for 10 reps, and so on and so forth. But it would give you the exact thing that you would do every single week. And man, it fucked me up at first. I was sore as hell. I was beaten but you also saw, when you first start training everything, you see the crazy progression. And it was wow, I'm getting strong. I think all my friends, noticed that I was getting into the gym and I was getting pretty strong. My body didn't change at all. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, no, I was still skinny, fat, pale as fuck, like just a small guy, like. That's a reoccurring theme even to today. You know what I mean? I'm still a skinny, pale, fat guy. So, but the strength was going up. You know what I mean? Like you noticed the strength going up right away, and then all of a sudden, I remember my friends. My one buddy AJ was already in the gym because he was a football player, and a lot of my friends started working out. My buddy Al started working out, and then all of a sudden, AJ's in the 300-pound club already. I'm gunning for that 200-pound club still, man. I'm gunning for it. You know what I mean? But anyway, the bottom line is I think a lot of people can associate with that. The bench pressing being what they gets them going in the gym at first. But that's how I got into the gym. That's how I got into the whole idea of progressing and the whole idea of watching things kind of materialize as far as results are concerned, whether it's the physical results. In my case, it was more the strength results, but I started to see that coming on early on because of that, setup that was there. And because of the focus on that one particular movement, eventually I got into like the deadlifts. I got into squats. I remember being taught that, it's like sitting on a toilet and squatting down. I remember fucking hating deadlifts. Like I hated deadlifts.
I still hate them to myself to this day.
Yeah, exactly. But, I remember all that pretty vividly, and that was probably where I started. And even though, I got into the gym big then, it was more of like a health and fitness aspect. You know what I'm saying? It was more of like, I wouldn't even call it health at that point. At 18, who the fuck cares? It was more of like, I want to look like a model and be shredded and like no bodybuilding. Right? No body. I didn't even know what the hell bodybuilding was yet.
Because it wasn't so humongous too in the industry. It wasn't like everybody had to look like a bodybuilder.
Yeah, so for reference to, I'm 35 years old. So we're talking, fucking 2001, 2000, like 2002, in that range somewhere. Between 2000 and 2002, I think I graduated high school in 2003. So maybe even up to 2003. But we're in that world where it wasn't, there's no social media.
Nah, it's just the magazines, if you find a magazine.
I think MySpace was around then. I think MySpace might have been. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. So we're right on the cusp. That was when it was like we were deciding on what was cooler, MySpace or Facebook. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Facebook had probably just popped up. But again, I wasn't on Facebook. We were still fucking rocking AIM, back then for the most part. But anyway, the point is that at that point I was probably still doing a lot of like running, thinking that I needed to have a six pack to look good.
Right, the typical when you first start, you're like, just like when you go to the gym now and you see the guys lifting their shirt, you're like, yeah, dude, you're 170 pounds.
Right, exactly.
Of course you have a six pack.
But again, I'm skinny fat and I'm 150, so I needed to build muscle desperately.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I know. It's like you're skinny and have the little tiny belly.
Yeah, exactly. I should have been doing the exact opposite. But in my mind, I was doing everything right. And in my mind, I was doing everything right by going to buy Lean Pockets because they had, the Hot Pockets?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would get the Lean Pocket
because it said lean on it. So
no, because it had 18 grams of protein in it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I was like,
that's when they first started out putting all the protein on everything so people would buy it, yeah.
So I was like, this is how I'm going to get my protein, man. This is easy. I could do this all day. You know what I mean?
Of course, they're going to be great.
Yeah, and then it was like, it sounds weird now when I say it out loud, but I was a big milk drinker when I was younger. I drank a lot of milk for whatever. Yeah, I don't know.
Jesus.
So I remember going to the store. I would go to like Quick Check on the way home from work or whatever. I would grab like a dozen whole eggs and like a quarter gallon.
Dude, what are you,
of milk.
Rocky? You must have watched Rocky. And
No. I would boil all the eggs, and I would literally eat like a dozen boiled eggs and drink like this quarter gallon of milk to get my calories and all my protein in.
So guys, think about how much the diet industry of fitness has changed from milking whole eggs to where we are now.
Well, I was just telling the client that back then, even when I started, remember, there was no MyFitnessPal, there was no, the internet hadn't even like exploded from a fitness perspective just yet. So there was there were no, I was going to a food almanac. Remember the books, the food almanac?
And they gave the numbers and
the calories, stuff like that. That was like my first real introduction to being able to know like what calories are where, what the protein, where the proteins are, where the carbs are, fats, yada yada yada. That was like my real first introduction to that. Was different, food almanacs. Even trying to like figure out what I could get from McDonald's to get my protein intake in. But now
it's good.
Yeah, so now we're talking around like 2003, 2004. I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew that I was in love with the concept of fitness, right? So one of the first, and I was the kid that I had no idea what I was doing out of school, bro.
Yeah.
I like I said, I skipped every day. I barely graduated. In fact, I didn't graduate with my class. I had to go back during the summer and finish off all my credits to be able to graduate with a high school diploma. But it was just a tough time for me as a kid. As far as knowing what it was that I wanted to do. So at this point, I found fitness, and I was like, I'm going to be a personal trainer. But I didn't come from, I had 5 brothers and sisters. We lost our mother really early on when I was 10 years old. So I didn't come from a family that had any extra cash or anything like that. So I tried to find a way to be able to get the education that I knew I needed as far as fitness was concerned to be able to pursue that. And I actually looked into that. GNC at the time, right? The exact opposite of Aries Nutrition.
It's okay.
Yeah, no, it actually, like, it'll all come together at the end.
Yeah, of
because
course.
Stark difference as far as the generations are concerned. But,
But
now,
there were the starting point anyway.
yeah.
When it
well,
comes
remember,
to
back then, dude, and that's the point. That's where we'll get to. Back then, there was no Aries Nutrition. There were no supplement stores that were mom and pops. In fact, we used to make fun of them at GNC because they would open up here and there, and they would just get crushed and decimated. Because if you weren't in GNC in terms of branding, you wouldn't survive. Nowadays, you have brands every day pop up that survive through these different avenues.
And the biggest problem with that was during that time, right? So when a mom and pop store opened up, what happened is there wasn't really a direct. So in other words, now you can go direct to companies and buy from them.
Exactly.
Before it was distributors.
Yeah.
Well, those
And
distributors, killed.
Yeah.
Unless
you'd be paying the same thing that people would be paying for a sale at GNC.
Yes.
Yeah, to bring it in. So
And
then to turn around and sell that and actually make profit, you'd have to be charging twice as much as GNC, and that's why places would get killed. You're right, 100%.
Exactly.
And then on top of that, remember, a lot of times now, and we're going off track, we're sidetracked a little bit, but a lot of times now you have the DSHEA compliant that GNC is, the Vitamin Shop is. Back then, when I started, we were selling 1ADs, we were selling the Fed.
So it was completely open.
It was completely, totally open. There was nothing, like I was there for a lot of this stuff to kind of get, fall by the wayside, get banned, get recalled. I've been through it all the way up through the Jack 3D nonsense.
Yeah.
And I was also there for hearing all the fucking retarded nonsense that people are doing. People to this day talk about ephedrine like it's the worst thing in the world. I'm like, dude, I was there selling hydroxycut to people that was a 3-pill serving or whatever, or maybe I think it was at one point it was like 2, 2, and 2, so maybe at most like 6 pills. And I had people coming in and tell me they're taking 9 pills a day, or like taking 6 pills for breakfast. So I was there for all that.
Yeah.
But the bottom line, the point to kind of get back to where we were at was, I found GNC because it was an opportunity where they had a reimbursement program. So it was, if I was going to go to school for nutrition, if I was going to go to school for training in any way, shape, or form, which were just normal everyday certificates back then, GNC was going to reimburse it. Right. So I actually took advantage of that. I did that while I was working as a sales associate at GNC. And right around that same time, so just a little bit further, I got my first personal training job, and now I don't know, it might be like 2004, 2005, somewhere around there. I was training at what is now Jersey Strong. Back then, it used to be called Workout World.
Okay,
and
yes, I remember.
Used to have, I think back then there was only 3 locations.
It was Wow. I think.
Yeah, Wow, Workout World. Yeah, and I think at that point there's only 3 locations. And back then, you could still make a really good living as a personal trainer. 6 figures was not something that was crazy to think about as a trainer. My starting rate as a trainer was $85 an hour, and then you're making a percentage of that. And
that's how it was back then?
Yeah. And
all right, guys. So just a heads up, like now, it's like fucking $6 for half an hour. While the gym takes like $40 from each person. So that's why, like now, when you get the reality situation is, if you get a trainer from a gym that's employed by the gym, majority of the time,
I posted about this the other day.
Yeah, majority of the time they are green as grass.
And because, listen, at the end of the day, they're getting paid $9.99 a session, and they're sold on the fact that they're getting paid $20 an hour. But what you don't get told on that ad where it says $20 an hour is the fact that you're signing up half-hour sessions. So you have to be able to have enough clients where you can go back to back to back, which in and of itself is a problem.
Correct.
How am I as a trainer supposed to program for somebody, take somebody through what they should be put through in terms of like the time, the focus, and everything when I have back to back to back to back to back to back clients just to pay my rent? You know what I mean? But again,
it's bad because I like just to touch base more on that. one of my part-time jobs when I started getting into, it's like we're all some kind of
It's
trainers
all
when we
over
first
the place,
started to learn. So I was for LA Fitness.
Right.
I was a trainer a little bit for LA Fitness, and it was the same shit.
Yep.
It was 6 hours in a session, and it was just a half an hour sessions. If they don't show up, you don't get paid.
Right.
They still got their money.
Yeah.
LA still got their money. And I mean, I remember these clients for LA that would have like $100 sign-up fee, which they got a book, right, to keep track.
Yeah.
Okay, just get a notebook, like,
Right.
and then they will pay like $30 to $50 a session, and then I get 6.
Yep.
And then in a half an hour, I'm supposed to train them, whatever body parts, whatever we're doing, give them a heads up on their nutrition, what else they should do for the rest of the week,
Yeah.
and answer any questions they have.
Yeah. Meanwhile, your next client showed up 28 minutes into
Yeah.
your first session,
Yeah.
so they're already waiting for you by the time you get done with your first client.
It's a
You know what I
scam.
mean? Yeah, 100%, 100%. And that's the route. So when I started though, it was right before that. So we when I started, it was more hours. There were no half-hour sessions. It was all hour sessions. We were selling 10 packs and 12 packs, and that now what you're referring to is like they'll lock you into that 1 year commitment.
Yes.
And like all that. So back then when I started, gyms were still $50 a month.
Okay.
And like you pay $100 down, $50 a month is what you pay. So gyms lived off of that reoccurring billing, and training was secondary. Nowadays, with gyms being $20 a month,
Their training's their main income.
Exactly, and they're living off of that training. So I watched that transition. But before that happened, GNC actually took off for me, and I had a really, really good boss that I still credit a lot to today as being like my mentor. He was like an older brother to me, John Talencio. He was somebody that like I still aspire to be more like him every single day, and try to genuinely sometimes think, what would John do in a situation?
Yeah.
So, he was a guy that I kind of gravitated to. So it got to a point in my GNC career where it was like, am I going to do this training or am I going to do this GNC? Because there was a point where I was legitimately opening a gym in Middletown, New Jersey at, 5 a.m. We had to be there like 4:30. But we'd open the gym at 5 a.m. I'd be there to open.
Yeah.
I would train a couple clients in the morning.
And then go.
Then
to the
I'd
store.
work at a store in Hazlet, New Jersey at GNC that I had to open at 10 a.m. So I would literally bring all my shit with me. I looked like I was living in my Cherokee at the time. I would do what I had to do in the morning at the gym, open the gym up and do all that shit. Then I would, shower and everything at the gym, go to the store, open up my store. And at the time, I didn't have any, but it was a tiny little store in Hazlet. In fact, I wonder if it's closing nowadays with everything GNC's got going on. So I had no budget for part-timers. I was managing it. I had no budget for part-timers. I would work that store all day from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. I swear to God, half the day I'd be spending like, back then we didn't have iPhones yet, but I'd be spending it on like, I'd have my notebook and everything. I would read like this Muscle Tech, and I would literally just sit there and like write out my sessions for the rest of the day, write out crazy workouts. Like in my head, I'd be like, this guy wants to come in and get a huge back. Okay, here's the workout. You know what I'm saying? Like that was how I
they always
had
had
the Muscle Tech stuff, like the Lukic. You remember Lukic, Yakic, Creakic, all that shit. So that was my time.
And then they had their articles for the pro bodybuilders, and here's the routine I used.
That was like Jay Cutler, Gustavo Baldell. Who else was big with Muscle Tech back then? Paul Dillette did a small comeback. He was with them. Muscle Tech had all.
Muscle Tech had everybody. Muscle Tech was
Branch Warren.
Yeah, what Muscle Tech is what Redcon is now.
Redcon
buys all the athletes.
I would even say though that back then, because there was less competition, Muscle Tech was even bigger.
They ran everything.
They monopolized everything. Even at GNC, they monopolized everything.
They were it.
So at that point, and then what would happen is, so I'd work my store, I'd open the gym, go to my store, work my store 10 to 8, then I would actually go back to the gym, train people at the gym, close the gym at 11, then go home. And I kid you not, I did this. So on a personal level, I actually found out that I was having a baby, my first child, when I was 21 years old.
Yeah.
Somebody I had just went through the process of we're dating, we're doing all this, and then boom, you're 21 years old, you got a baby, and it's like it comes out of nowhere. That's usually how the first one happens, right? But anyway,
mine was like 19 and a half. So.
So you know where I'm at, right? I got to the same page, but so at that point, I'm like all I know is like I got to work, I got to save. Remember, again, I'm coming from a big family, but, I moved out when I was like 17, 18. I moved out when I was like 18 years old. But I didn't really have that guiding figure at the time either. I was actually living with a friend in his family when we got pregnant, and my girlfriend moved in with my friend and his family, and I would say his mom and dad were really my guiding, people at that time. And then, like I said, my guy John at GNC. But anyway, the point is, I was kind of figuring out a lot of stuff on my own too. I'm the type where I'm very internal. I don't burden a lot of people around me. I try to figure things out as best I can on my own. So all I know is I have to work my ass off. You know what I'm saying? And I'm doing that through these 2 jobs every day. I would literally wake up at 4 a.m. and like fucking hate my life, dude. I at some point I realized, like, after a few months of saving up, I'm like, dude, I gotta do one of these things. I can't do both of these things anymore. I gotta do one. I actually went to my boss at GNC and I'm like, dude, listen, I'm gonna go train. I want to train. That's my passion. Like, I want to do this full time. I want to get good at it. And I know in order for me to get good, I told him I need experience. And I knew that very early on through training. Was like, for me to be good at this, there's too much information out there. I got to do it and figure out what works and go do that full time. And then I'm having this conversation with the guy. I'm literally quitting. I'm putting in my 2 weeks. And he literally looks at me and he's like, dude, like, I'll give you a promotion right now. Like, I'll promote you. And then from there, he's like, you have all the talent with this. He's like, I see a leader in you. Like, I want to put you on my back and like make something out of you. He's like, I'll give you a bigger store, a raise, all the things that you need to be able to compensate for this other thing. And then he's like, from there, I want to put you into more of like a management role, a higher management role. And in GNC, it's called the senior store manager, where you have satellites under. So I would manage several stores, including my own.
Kind of like a DM, but a
different a lower level DM. He was the DM, so I'd be working directly underneath him and be trained to be a DM. And that was when I was 21, 22 years old or whatever it was. I chose the route that was going to give me more security in GNC with the corporate thing. Exactly. So I went that route. I ended up working at GNC for 10 years. I did become a regional sales director myself. I was one of the youngest in the company at the time. My market was Central Jersey, and if you go back far enough in Central Jersey, this is before GNC really turned into like crazy shit, like crooked salespeople. We actually had a really good team, and like nowadays, a lot of that team still works in the supplement industry. I got guys like my man Donnie still works for Diamond. Like, at the end of the day, we were a really good team that were predicated on a lot of like what mom and pops predicate themselves on now.
Right. That's how it was when I first started.
And that's the thing, is our market grew like crazy. And to be honest, we had the lowest turnover rate in the entire chain for 4 years in a row. Like, our sports nutrition department was one of the biggest in the country outside of like California. We just had such a good understanding, comprehension, the way that we hire, train, and develop people. It was much more of a real, genuine experience as opposed to just a sales experience.
Right.
When you went to GNC at that time, right? So it was a good thing. But I saw the writing on the wall at some point at GNC. We went public. The guy that mentored me ended up going, when a company goes public like that, there's usually a lot of change at the top, right?
Correct.
And that's what happened with GNC. A lot of the guys from the field went to the home office. So that kind of ruined my relationship with GNC. I started looking to other places, and at that point in my life, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go back. I had a steady financial situation as far as my personal life is concerned. My daughter was a little bit older at that point. Her mother had a great job, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go back to the fitness world and try to figure that back out. My first passion. I had learned a ton while I was at GNC. I never stopped with the education piece and the learning piece. So at that point, I felt even more confident. So I did. I actually went back to Workout World at that point. 10 years later, I decided to go back to Workout World. And then a whole bunch of shit transpires, right? Instagram comes out, all these new things start popping up. Somehow, some way, I ended up, I think, being one of like the real like original meal prep people. I started a meal prep business.
Really?
I actually like started an LLC, like a full on like kitchen. Like,
you're probably the first one then, I guess.
You know what? Jamie over at Eat Clean Bro.
Yeah.
He was doing it, and that's actually how we met. We kind of built up a rapport back then. But that was when Jamie was still like raw and new. I was super, super raw and new to it. Jamie was probably doing it a little bit before me because he had a lot of, he's that guy, he's that American success story where he failed like 6 times before he actually made it, 8 times before he actually made it, whatever it was. So he's that guy that has that like that real true story. So he was probably doing it years before I was. But I was doing it, like I said, LLC, like full on, had a business partner, like the whole nine. So somehow, you know what it stemmed from when I went back to training. The training world was way different at that time. That was the new world where I was selling contracts for the year. You know, it wasn't the same as it is now, or it wasn't the same as it was when I first started. So, you know, my other thing was, how do I impact clients on a more 24-hour basis? You know what I'm saying? As opposed to just that half hour they might spend in the gym. And that's where meal prep came in. So for me, the way that my coaching and everything started was, I was building people's meal plan for them, cooking it for them, and they were literally coming to my apartment to pick it up. So there were literally, I would have in my apartment at the time, in fucking Colonia, this little tiny apartment, I would cook up 100, 115, 125 meals, and my clients would come pick them up for the week. Sometimes I would do 2 preps per week, so it'd be like 3 days of food, 3 days of food. People would come pick it up, and their Sunday would be their off day. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So, and that's how I started, and then eventually that turned into having 20 people that wanted to do this meal prep, and I was making more money doing that than I was training. And then I got deep into the meal prep. I actually started to go. I went to go work for Jamie at Eat Clean Bro during the very early years. Helped that kind of grow. I helped grow a couple other meal prep companies, including Clean Eats Today is another big one. Prepped Delivery was another one that I started. I was with Josh Halliday for Work Meals over in Philly. So I was actually deep into the meal prep game. I was one of the few people that had a lot of experience in the meal prep game early on. And then from there, I ended up, I was coaching since 2013 on and off, and somehow I ended up just finding my niche in coaching, and that kind of just developed into something where we are today, where it's a full-time gig for me. That's what I do. I train and I coach. I only train about 25 to 30 hours a week, like I was telling you before, and the rest of my time is spent coaching my people online. So it's gone. I've taken a real like zigzagged approach.
Yeah, and went back to the original roots.
And that's the thing, is it's always stayed constant. It's not even like I was going back to it. I've always had this passion for understanding. You can, again, if somebody met my friends that I grew up with when I was in high school, they would tell you, as soon as I got that job at GNC, dude, it was on. Like, it was like, oh, Tim knows about this. And like, I remember people coming into GNC when I first started, they'd be like, do you guys have branched chain amino acids? And I'm like, yeah, I know what that is. And they'd be like, how much leucine does this have? And I'm like, whoa, dude, what the fuck is a leucine? I have no idea. This is a branched chain amino acid. No idea what a leucine is, dude. You're going to have to slow down for me. And I would literally have this little thing in my shirt pocket, the little sticky note thing. Yeah. And I would write down leucine, and then I would go home and I would look up that leucine. And then I would learn step by step like that. And then, like I said, later on, you know, as the internet world started to explode a little bit more, and there was more information available. Bodybuilding, fitness in general started to explode. There was more information there. I had caught on to bodybuilding when I was at GNC, so that became much more of a passion. You know, it just took on kind of a life of its own. I started competing myself. You know, and then at the end of the day, it was one of those things where I saw the opportunity to help people, but it really came down to people coming to me. They saw the opportunity that I could help them. They came to me. That's where the whole meal prep thing started. And so 2013 was when Every Calorie Counts actually started.
Gotcha.
And it's been going ever since. So I see a lot of guys nowadays, which I'm sure we'll get into this more in detail, where they start their coach, you know, tomorrow, and you know, they're the best coach in the world by week 2. It took me years. So I started with, you know, like 5 clients, you know, and then I worked my way up to like 12 clients slowly but surely. And then by like year 3, I probably had like 15 clients. No chance in hell I was living off of that, but it was a little side income, and I did it because I loved it. And I did it along with my, you know, either I was the director of sales at this meal prep company, or I was doing this, or whatever it was that I was doing professionally at the time. That was always my thing. That was always my passion. That was always what I did with my free time. And I just continued to learn and get better and get better and get better. And now I'm at the point where I have more than enough clients to be able to do that full time and make that full time living, making, you know, the money that I make, which is I'm thankful for and I'm happy for. But yeah, man, that's basically it. That's the ride that I went on. So and just so everybody knows, because everybody that knows me, as far as my clients that are going to listen to this, they know that I'll go, dude. You give me the microphone, you tell me to talk, I'll go. Patrick told me to go deep. Okay, he told me to go deep before we started this. He said go into all of it.
It's good.
So I went deep there, but
no, and a lot of people don't realize you need a lot of experience. In other words, a lot of time put into with different human beings when it comes to coaching, because the body is so different. There is no cookie cutter. There really isn't. And it's just it's just really shitty how that is. But like, that's why I wanted you to go deep. I wanted you to go deep so that way people understand like what separates knowledge versus, knowledge, just basic knowledge, to experience that brings on the knowledge.
Yeah.
And the other thing is I wanted people to see, like, you don't just do this for a paycheck, you do it because it's your passion.
Yeah.
Like, you did what you had to take care of your family, right, to pay the bills, but behind the scenes you were still growing the knowledge and building yourself.
And you know what? The other thing I would say, just to capitalize on that, not to cut you off, but I've worked my entire life, and it's something I'm proud of, but because a lot of people don't. I've worked my entire life in this industry in some way, shape, or form. My entire life. I've never had a gig outside of this. I worked at a grocery store when I was a kid. I worked at Burger King when I was 15. But since I was an adult, I have never had a job outside of this industry. Like I said, whether it's meal prep, the gym, supplements, I've been around it all. And I think that that's kind of built a level of education within the experience where it's like I had to learn things in this world. I had to learn things in this world. I had to learn things in this world. And now it's kind of come together to where it makes it's just a more of a well-rounded scenario, as opposed to somebody else that might have only been in the gym or only been in supplements or only been into food in some way, shape, or form. So I think it's worked in my favor, that. But to your point, the experience factor, I look back now at some of the people that I helped for free in 2013, some of the people that I helped for free in 2012 when I was just getting started with coaching, and I can see where it was like, 5 years later, I'm starting to learn, that was probably a situation that I would handle entirely different now, based on the fact that I know that female that I was helping was probably dealing with severe cortisol, chronic cortisol output, or she had a flopped circadian rhythm, or there was too much of this happening, or I was preaching way too much volume, telling people to work out 7 days a week. I was probably killing motherfuckers.
Probably a little bit.
But I can look back now and I can see where I had no idea what I was really looking at. You know what I mean? And now those things are so obvious to me and so prevalent. It's like the only way that I got to the point that I am now to be able to look back at that stuff is the experience factor.
Right.
Those people that I had originally paved the way for me to, see that over and over and over again, to the point where I was like, dude, there's something going on here. I got to figure it out.
And that's huge, the experience, because if we get into the whole coaching industry, the reality of what happened is when social media came about, it's such a saturated, everything is technically not even just coaching, everything is saturated
100%.
nowadays.
Yep. Gyms, supplement stores, everything. From fucking food to everything. But within the industry, it's incredibly saturated. You literally every single day I'll see somebody did their first show, they're DM me for coaching. What the fuck am I DMing you for? Yeah.
Like, what? So you can give me the same diet you were on?
Yeah.
You don't know the basics.
Right.
Like, your genetics activated, or your body activated a certain way in the gym. So you're gonna tell me, like, the average person that you starved them to death is gaining weight. You're gonna tell them you're gonna figure out how to fix them.
Right.
So the industry itself, when it comes to coaching, is horrible, and it's and even as you get in deeper, it's not as okay. Well, this is a pro, or this is a really high national level coach. So if I pay him, let's just say $500 a month, I'll definitely get a top of the line program for everything. No.
Yeah.
Okay, because here's the other scenario. If I'm a pro, okay, and I have a whole bunch of shit going on, okay, and if my name brings me over 100, 200 clients, let's be realistic. How can you possibly do every single person's diet? Because it's not like, okay, here's the diet, cool, changes, send it in, done. No, it takes time. You have to put the time in, because you're checking the pictures, you're going back a couple weeks to see where the progressions were changing, what's going on. And the reality situation is, like, people's wives, girlfriends are 9 out of 10 handling the amateur diets.
Right.
So like, say if you're a national level coach, and again, I'm not going to mention names because I know firsthand there's several. So I'm not going to go into that because the last thing I need to do is get blasted.
Yeah.
By,
the crazy thing
by,
is, as much as you, everybody knows it, and the people that pay for shitting coaching, they know somebody that does this, what you're going to talk about right now, but yet they'll still go out and hire the next guy. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so you can get a national level coach easy. Anybody can get one. But what happens is that national level coach actually what makes them national level coaches is that they have national level competitors they prep to get their pro cards and so forth. They also have pro athletes. 9 out of 10 of pro athletes have a free diet.
Yeah.
Okay. 9 out of 10 or 19 out of 20, the national level competitor that's a year or two away from getting a pro card has a free diet from them. Okay. They are going to baby them.
Right.
I mean, they are going to text them every fucking day, all day long, monitor every single thing.
Yep.
Now, you're Joe Schmo who just did one amateur show. You're doing another amateur show. Yeah, you'll get your diet, but a lot of times he or she probably won't look at it until you're like a couple weeks into showtime, and then kind of glance it over and tell their significant other what to adjust.
Yeah.
And the beyond super high level pro athletes that say, listen, when they say 5 spots left, nah man, there's 500 spots left.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because there's like 6 other people
out.
sitting behind them in a computer just ready to do all the simple diets. So coaching is very hard to find like a good coach. So you have to look at what they've accomplished, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like if you're shopping for a coach, if you go on a page and there is no progression, there is no, like in other words, okay, if I'm going to do something for a living, aren't I going to show it off? What have I accomplished to other people? So if you're a coach, why wouldn't you show off multiple clients that what you've accomplished with them?
Drives me nuts, man.
You know what I mean? There's
nuts.
nothing.
You're definitely taking this straight from my Instagram too.
No.
Because I'm posting this the last couple of weeks. It's been driving me insane, man.
But
insane.
it's true. But listen. Just because I post a picture of myself on stage or in a fucking gym, jacked and filtered, doesn't mean I can make your diet. Like, for example, I have people asking me all the time, Pat, do my diet. I'm like, look, man, there's no way I can give you 100% of the diet. I'm in the store, all this. I do whatever I do for the store, family. I train myself. I've done it before, and it's just so time consuming. And I'm so picky at making sure people follow it.
Right.
I get frustrated.
Yeah.
Plus, what ends up happening a lot of times, like, look, a competitor, an amateur competitor, a lot of times, to a certain degree, it's not that hard to do their diet because they're working out non-fucking stop.
Yeah.
They're going to work out no matter what.
Yeah.
They're going to stick to the diet 95% of the time, if not more. So to pinpoint the opportunities is very easy. The average person, you really need to be good at what you're doing.
Yeah.
You really have to be good at what you're doing. You have to be able to see through the honest mistakes they're making.
Yep.
And you have to be able to pinpoint it. So I know I wasn't able to give 100%, so that's why I always try to link up, like just like with you.
Right.
I can't do what you do, even if I tried.
Right.
You have so much experience, right? And even if I did try, it still won't be 100% me putting into the person.
Right.
So somebody comes now, it's like, hey Pat, I need coaching. Cool, great. This is the person you're never gonna have problems with.
Right.
That's where you go because I know for a fact.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating. It's just the whole fucking shit. There's so much shit in the industry that frustrates me. From the coaching to these fucking bullshit supplement companies that just rape people.
Yeah.
Literally just rape them for the wallet.
Yeah.
The false advertisement. I mean, I must have seen just recently with the sponsored ads, because the minute you click, you say anything.
Yep.
Like I probably said something today, and I'll probably look at my phone.
Definitely.
And I'll have sponsorship for it. Listen, if you need to buy a gallon that tells you every 2 fucking hours to drink water and gives you a quote to encourage you to drink water, you're doing great.
Right.
Almost there.
Yeah.
Just stop.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I think there's more to just you trying to just get 8 gallons of water in.
Right.
Like but guess what? I bet you any money that gallon probably sold by thousands.
Yeah.
Sold by thousands. So that whole aspect with the industry is
it's whatever's cool, man. It's like everything's a hype train, and that goes with the coaches big time from my perspective. It's like I've seen it firsthand with a lot of people, and there's somebody in Central New Jersey who was really popular a few years ago, right? And this guy is gobbling up he doesn't even live in New Jersey, but he's gobbling up every competitor that there is. And in my head, I'm thinking like, man, this guy's got to know something, because a few of his clients looked really good too.
Yeah.
And it's he's got to be doing something. I'm signing up with this motherfucker too. I'm going to do prep with this motherfucker, and I'm going to figure out what it is that he's doing.
Yeah.
And listen, I've worked with a lot of different coaches myself. I'm all the way back to like when Lane Norton was a coach.
But that's a good thing, because you saw different,
100%.
you learned different ways.
Yep.
That's a good thing.
So I went to this particular individual, and it was exactly what you just said, where it was a scenario where it's like, listen, dude, I'll tell you up front, my kids' birthdays are like back to back to back. I have 3 now, so it's like literally birthdays start in my house with my dog in March.
Okay.
But yeah,
right.
so my dog starts in March.
All right.
Gooby's my 4th baby. But my daughter's is I have April, then we got May, then we got June is me and my wife, and then it's my son's in July.
Okay.
So it's literally like the summertime is like bing bang boom boom boom, right? There's all these different things, and if I had my way, I would compete right before that, which there's always some initial shows there in the springtime. The Mets, the Kemper, but I usually compete out of state anyway. So even there, there's this one show in Vermont I like to do. But the point is, I told this particular coach, listen, I want to compete within this time frame. I'm looking at this particular show, but I don't want to like overshoot this. Like I want to get this done here through this window. That's what's most important to me. Okay, no problem. We're like 8 weeks out. I'm like, yo, listen, dude, I trust you. Like, I don't want to be that guy. I get it. I know these people. This is what I do. So I get it. But some shit's not right, man. Like, this isn't working. Like, and I know my body. Listen to me. Here's some things that I want you to at least consider.
Right.
And I wouldn't go that route. Like, for me personally, if I have a coach, I'm the type where it's just like my fucking blinders are on.
Yeah.
I do it. But when I'm 8 weeks out and I'm looking nowhere near where I know my body needs to be, I'm like, dude, we gotta, like, something's gotta happen here. I get the email back, trust the process, dude, please let me do my job, yada, yada, yada. In a respectful way it was, but nonetheless, that was what the email was. And I literally, at that point, I'm like, all right, dude, I gotta stop stressing. Let me let this guy do his thing, and just, so I don't say anything the next week. I don't say anything the week after that. We're 6 weeks out now, and I'm looking the same as I did fucking 12 weeks out. I'm like, my dude, I email him again. I'm like, man, something is not going right now. Can we please just take a look at our options, and like I'll let you make the move if that's your thing. Like, make your call, but like just make a call, because doing the same thing every single week at this point, it's just not working for me. And this guy has a 2 week. You only check in once every 2 weeks until you're like 4 weeks out. So now we're going at literally now the next check-in, the following week check-in. I'm like, all right, I hit him up midweek, and it's like we're like 5 weeks out now. I'm like, listen, dude, something's got to go. I feel like a bikini competitor now, man. Like, you're making me fucking email you when I'm not supposed to be emailing. Like, just give me something to live off of here. Like, are we gonna put in some crazy fat burners? Like, are you gonna make me do 100 micrograms of T3 in 4 weeks? Like, what are we doing here?
What's going on?
That I'm waiting for, because like I'm still fucking fat. Like, I'm 5 weeks out. Like, this is not gonna work for me whatsoever. And then at 4 weeks out, he emails me back finally, and he goes, like, no mention of anything that I said up until that point, right? And I've already told him I'm gunning for this one particular time frame. And he emails me at 4 weeks out, and he's like, listen, I think we're going to need to pick a later show. I'm like, dude, you have not listened to a fucking word I've said, have you? Did you even look at my emails? And I know for a fact this guy, he's a top-level guy, so he's got the Olympians on his roster. He's got all these other people that are probably getting ready for national shows. So, like, at first I'm thinking in my head, when I'm 8 weeks out, like, I shouldn't even be bothering this guy. Like, he knows what he's doing. I don't want to, like, step on any toes or anything like that. But then we get to 4 weeks out, and I'm looking back. I'm like, dude, he didn't even listen to a word I was saying.
He wasn't doing it.
He didn't listen to anything I was saying. Either he wasn't doing it, or he didn't listen to anything I was saying. And the fact that he asked me to pick a later show, I'm like, that in and of itself tells me that everything that I said up until this point was completely and totally meant nothing. You know what I mean? And even if he thought that something was going to transpire that obviously wasn't transpiring, at the end of the day, if you're waiting until somebody's 4 weeks out, and that's the difference, like, it's in my head, it's hard. I would have been, as a coach, I would have been shitting my pants when that client was 8 weeks out, not looking
Right.
the part. You know what I'm saying? So I've been there on that side of things, and I've been there where I'm talking like one of the biggest brand coaches that there is out there right now to this day. Back when he was just kind of exploding, I hit him up, and literally the first message I got back was like, "Man, you don't have the genetics to compete." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, dude. I compete because I like it. I'm not trying to go pro. Like, this is just something that's like a passion for me." Like, you know, I had to explain that to him, and I remember him just messaging me back like, "All right, I'll do your whole prep for $800." I'm like, "Fuck, man! Like, am I even gonna work with this?" I actually did. I didn't work with him, believe it or not, like an idiot. I didn't know, because it's the hype wagon. I think that's what you were trying to get to. It's like at the end of the day, you know, we build all these things up on social media now, and it's like I'll lose clients. I've lost a ton of competitive clients. Because and there was a point just a couple years ago where I'm putting 15, 20 people into a show. Nowadays, I put fucking 3 people into a show
because
per
they're
year.
being grabbed by these people.
Team. I want to be team this. I want to be team that. I want to be this, that. Meanwhile, like backstage, I'm calling these guys like, you know, one guy that I've lost a few clients to before. Like I see his clients left and right, dude. Like he's the destroyer of vaginas. Like he's just killing women, like left and right, just running them into the ground. All types of hormonal problems. But he's turned a couple people pro the last few years. So now it's all the hype. The hype. Like, let me go to him. He's going to turn me pro, yada, yada, yada. Meanwhile, those 3 pros he turned, you know, 2 years ago, they're not even on the circuit anymore.
They didn't do anything.
Dude.
Yeah,
they're out. They're gone. They're gone. They flamed out.
Because the reality situation, you can get your pro card sometimes easy by just grabbing the right show at the right time, whatever it is.
Bro, we live in Jersey, Universe. You want the right show, go to Universe. That's where people get in, man. You want to be the second best person on stage within your class and still get a pro card? Yeah, go to Universe.
Yeah. And there's like, what, 200 pro cards given out? So every single fucking class? Yeah. So, that's the thing.
No offense to anybody that's got their card in Universe.
You just smashed everybody.
I know, my bad.
But you know what? Some people just want the card just to say they have the card.
Yeah, I'm an awful bodybuilder. I'll never even come close to sniffing a national stage or a pro card. So.
Some people just want the card to grab the card, but that is the reality situation. Even like you said, the team this, team that, right? That's the same shit that goes with ambassador programs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Fucking supplement companies or like stores, like you're ex-athlete for whoever, bro. They don't even know you. Like you're an athlete of what? Like what? Just the name, or just I call them the code collectors.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Where they have their profile and they have like 4, 3 companies, 5 with codes. You like. To be an ambassador nowadays, my grandma, who's dead, could be an ambassador for Redcon.
Right, 100%.
Like, that's how easy it is to be an ambassador.
Hey, dude, the number one thing that drives me nuts, drives me fucking nuts, and I've seen this a couple of times recently, where somebody's either making the post, where it's like, so happy to announce my new relationship with Blackstone Labs ambassador code. Bro, you don't have a relationship.
No.
You sent an email and they sent you back a code, to your point, right? That's it. That's all. They have no fucking clue who you are. They're probably not even following your account. They just started following because you posted that and you tagged them in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no relationship there, but these people are fooling you with this post where it's like, oh, I'm so thankful for, just wanted to announce the fact. And I've actually seen recently too, and this drives me even more nuts, the people who are just ambassadors that have had this code for 4, 6, a year, however many months to a year, and it's probably been used like 5 times. You know what I'm saying? Like you're you're legitimately like you have no place to call yourself anything besides somebody that gave their friend a discount code. 3 out of those 5 uses was you buying your protein. You know what I'm saying? Let's be real. And then they actually make the announcement where it's like, oh, I don't agree with these people's stance on this, and this matter, so I'm going to have to back out. And I want to publicly announce the fact that my relationship with Blackstone Labs is or this company or that company. It's like, dude, what? Shut up.
Yeah,
nobody had any idea that you were working with this guy. Nobody had any clue.
It's listen. The ambassador codes, you're going to be 1 out of 1,000. Yeah, they're going to send you the same shit they send everybody else. What the ambassador programs are set up to make sure you always buy their shit. Yeah. That's it. Right. Like you get a code, they'll tell you, you have tiers where you can make X amount of money. Okay, let's look at the Instagram aspect, right? Mathematically, if you're Instagram inspirer, or what's the fucking word?
Yeah, influencer.
Influencer, okay? If you're an Instagram influencer, 1% of your followers will possibly use whatever you're telling them to do.
Yeah.
1%. 10 if you're fucking lucky.
Yep.
And at that point, you got to be like The Rock.
Yeah.
Okay? So 1% of 1,000 is 10 if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Okay? So let's get serious here. Like, you're going to have to build your members up to like 500,000 to actually make something happen.
Yeah.
But at that point, you're getting paid
Right.
to do things.
Yeah.
You're not
No
just you're not
ambassadorship
paying
anymore.
the other way around.
And they're still getting the ambassador rights too.
Yes.
So in other words, you'll have a contract with a company, you'll still have an ambassador type code, but that code you're going to get paid a significant amount of commission on now that you have that following and that many people are using it on top of your contract, in some cases anyway. But I would even say that where was I going to go with that? I would even say that if you have 1,000 followers, you're still not going to get 10. It's all about the, because who are those 1,000 followers in all reality?
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Majority of them are nobodies.
100 of them.
They're not even real.
Yeah, or they're people that you have. You knew them when you were a kid.
Yeah.
You followed them but they don't
That's
care
true.
about your protein powder, dude. They don't care. It's your mom and dad are two of those.
true.
Like, it's people that could give a flying fuck about your ambassador code or what it is that you are passionate about or what you care about. So the reality is, how many of those people are actually actively like engaged and followers that are pre-qualified consumers for what it is that you're trying to do? You know what I mean? That's even more of a smaller percentage when you think about it, because I've seen it, dude. I've been on the opposite side of that, where I was with these meal prep companies. You're talking relatively big. Clean Bro is a huge company
Yes.
at this point, but you're talking about relatively big companies at the time, and it's like, we'll give somebody a discount code, and it's like they'll have 1 million followers. And because probably half of them, to your point, are fake, if not
Correct.
more, there's literally zero usage of that code, right? Zero usage of that code. Or the usage of that code is fucking, they're getting used 5 times a month,
Yeah.
6 times a month. Versus somebody else that we might have who's only got 15,000,
Yeah.
but it's a very real organic customer base. The following is all within their niche industry that they work within. And there's a ton of engagement on their profile and all that type of stuff. They have 15,000 people and their code's getting used 50 times a month.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the reality of what people don't get about the social media side of things. Is like, it's all smoke and mirrors. And I know people talk about that all the time, but when you're on the back end of it and you're seeing that code usage and you're seeing what really transpires from these accounts that are getting fucking, people talk about engagement. Nowadays, you can even pay for that. You can pay for comments and stupid emojis and everything.
You can buy, dude, they're trying to sell fucking blue dots now.
Really?
Like the blue checks.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta be,
Verified.
like,
Yeah.
it's so fake.
Yeah.
Everything is really fake. And look, to everybody that has like codes and all that, look, it's cool. Like,
Yeah.
you want to get it, but just understand.
I have
like,
codes.
Yeah.
I prior to teaming up with Patrick, like, I had codes to different companies, and you and I talked about it. Like, but what did I tell you? Actually, that's a good point. I told Patrick, like, there's at least one of these codes where like I can't live without it.
Mm-hmm.
Like and we're working on that together. But there's, because I believe in that, I use that. My clients legitimately benefit from
But
it.
that's the difference right there.
Right.
That's what it comes down to. Like, look, if you're an athlete, and I'm talking athlete, not just somebody just trying to put a code on, believe in what you're putting on your profile. Like, if you have a code for a store, believe not that just they're giving you, like, for example, like anybody that uses a code that has a code for the, for Aries, they believe in what the brand stands for. They believe in all that, not just for the discount.
Yeah.
If you have a code for a supplement company, know the company behind it. Like, not to fucking talk shit, but like, you could have a code for a company that the guy could be going to jail in a matter of a couple days, or a couple years, or so forth. So
literally a couple days at this point.
So the reality situation is, when you like, even like for clothing and things like that. Look, at the end of the day, when you get followers, when your followers go up, you're gonna have thousands of companies trying to hit you up for all this stuff. So understand, you're promoting them. You're the beneficial one. You're the more important person than the company.
Yeah.
Okay, not the other way around. Don't ever think that the company is more important. Okay, the company's anybody. We need you guys.
Yeah.
Like, we need you. So put more pride into what you put.
Yeah.
Just because you have 15 fucking things on your profile, because I seen it. I seen people personally that like shopped in my store and decided to go somewhere else, which is fine. That's perfectly fine. It just, look, you like a different experience, That's what it comes down to. It just, I have to create a better experience. I wasn't doing that was good enough. You like somewhere else, so that's fine.
Right.
But I know for a fact, some people might go somewhere else just to have a code.
Right.
Or just to have a 10% discount.
Yeah.
Just to kind of put on their profile page.
Yeah, or hashtag whatever, and they get reposted versus maybe you misreposted somebody at some point. People nowadays too, they want to feel like they are part of something.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? They want to feel, and like I said, that's that hype, machine that Instagram is or social media is in general. It's like you get a group of the right people hashtagging your thing, and then all of a sudden you have, that triples. It's a snowball effect. You know what I'm saying? And it just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling. And while that's cool from a business standpoint, if you're doing the right thing, you can easily get caught up in that as a consumer.
Yes.
Big time.
And I think the
Shreds, perfect example.
We'll get into that in a second. We were that's a really good one. So the whole concept of a team, right? That's a really good concept, right? If it's done the right way, like you bring in people in, you write the right message, you're proud of it, that's great. As long as the company, right, as long as everybody is treated the same way. So the
Big
pro
with coaching too,
right? The pro isn't treated like King Larry the Third,
right?
And you're the peasant in the town.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Everybody is sitting around a table together, not separately. But yeah, like Shreds. Okay, so if you guys don't know Shreds.
Well, before you go into that real quick, the one thing I would say is, to your point with that, that's why I've ended up going more, or why my business has slowly developed into a lot more of a general population type of clientele versus competitors. The reality is the team concept, it gobbles up all these people. Like I was just saying, it's a hype machine. You want to be part of that team, so you invest in that coach, and now the reality comes out for a lot of these people, and I see it every day. And like I said, it's hard for me to grasp the kid that works his ass off, that is part of that team, that actually does get a good result from that cookie cutter plan. You know what I'm saying? And is tagging that coach every day in every post. But I also follow that coach myself. Never see this motherfucker retagged. You know what I'm saying? Or reposted or anything like that. Why? Because you're one of 300. Literally, you're one of 300. And those coaches out there with those teams that are that big, and they're the ones that are always posting those top level guys at national shows and turning these guys pro, because that's literally, per year 30, 50 out of that 300 that they're coaching. You know what I'm saying? And that's the person that's going to get the pub that you want. Yeah. That's the person who's going to get the repost that you want. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you're just not at that level, and you're not going to get that same level of respect, and you're not going to get that same level of attention like you were talking about before. And it's like, for me, I've lost all my competitors to that concept, because I have a few thousand followers versus that coach that they want to get repost is 80,000 followers, 115,000 followers, and they're searching for that repost. They're looking for it, and it's not coming.
And it's not coming. Usually if it comes.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm done. Listen, I don't care. I don't care if it's a competitor. I don't care if it's your mom. I don't care if it's your fucking grandma. For
hard work and results shouldn't come because of a title.
Right.
Like, you can have hard work and results by not being celebrity or pro, whatever it is.
And honestly, if from a coaching standpoint, it's worked in my favor. Coaching more general population people has taught me more in just the last couple of years than I ever learned coaching the athletes. Because at the end of the day, to your point before, coaching a competitor is almost easy, bro. It's here's the plan. We're going to change it when we need to change it. Do some cardio, but you're going to get shredded. You know what I mean? And then in a lot of cases, there are supplements involved that make it a lot easier. You know what I'm saying? But it's almost easy coaching a competitor, relatively speaking at least, compared to a general population person that does have all these personal life things that we have to work around, that has a real work schedule, that can't overtrain, that can't do these things because of the amount of stress that they're under to begin with. So it's one of those things where you really have to learn how to finesse scenarios, you know what I'm saying? And it's paid dividends with the competitors I do still work with, where now I have clients that are getting ready for a show where they're not even coming close to the torture that I had to put people in the past. Yeah. And it's because of the build-up process that I've learned through working with the general population. Right. So I've learned a lot, but I've also I've come to the point where it's like I try to give everybody the attention that they deserve, Actually, the busiest I ever was with coaching specifically, not including my in-person clients, was I had just topped 75 clients. And dude, I was so busy at that point, and my head was spinning. Like, you're talking about people that have 150. Do the math when you're paying your coach. If they have 150, 200 clients, the reality is, and this is why people do it, it's a lot of money. You can make a lot of money being a coach, man. It adds up real quick, and all of a sudden you're looking at your intake, and you're like, holy shit. And it's 75 clients is a lot though. And you're not just, you might be looking at the money, liking the money, but I'm looking at the emails come in, the text messages come in, the phone calls come in. And it's like, dude, I was having a panic attack every day of my life trying to get done with the amount of work.
And you will get, especially, oh my God, especially if you have female clients.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if they're getting ready for a show.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my fucking God.
Yeah.
It's like having 15 girlfriends.
100%. It's what I tell my clients all the time. That's exactly what I tell my clients all the time. Like, you guys got to calm down. Like, I got one already. I don't need more. But, it's one of those things where it's, you got to be prepared for that. And to be honest, I don't know if my lifestyle right now, I am prepared for that level of clientele. I hang out at around, anywhere between like 35 up to 55 clients. I like to be comfortably in between that. And then I can train my people 25, 30 hours a week on top of that to make up revenue.
You can do that,
Yeah. And at the end of the day, for me, that's comfortable. You know what I'm saying? And I'm able to give the right attention to people. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. I wanted to touch on that before you go further, but go ahead. Shreds yourself to
death. So guys, you got to look this company up. It's called Shreds. It's fucking dead now. They popped up like in an early scene when everything. Had to be
like 2013, 2014.
Yeah, man. It was like when social media was getting like really big. So it was a guy, I think he fucking literally out of his fucking apartment, built a company, put money in it, and all he did is he took a whole bunch of fucking girls and guys from social media that were hot, in fucking shape. Just made them do a whole bunch of photo shoots, created the shittiest products ever, and just said go.
Yeah, the worst products ever.
He made, literally, like, I think now you could look up Shreds and buy like 6 supplements for like $80 together in one package.
Yeah.
So, but he did it in a matter of like a year or two. He got his money and just got the fuck out. And a lot of those guys went their separate ways. One of them, I think, is with fucking, what's his name, with Steel. So there's a guy in Steel, not Frank, not Mr. Beard, but there's a guy in Steel, he's all tatted up. Before that, he was with Shreds. He had 0 tattoos. He went from 0 tattoos to his whole body, fucking head and everything.
Really?
So because the other thing that Shreds was doing is they were filming and all that, but they were filtering the shit out of the pictures. So he got caught filtering his legs. Literally.
You talking about the kid Devin Physique?
I think so. Added his legs size to his. So I think.
I know I think he was tatted up, but now I think he's crazy tatted.
No, he's got everything.
Yeah.
He changed his whole entire look, so he's with Steel. But that's how Steel kind of built up. Like, look at Bang energy drinks.
Yeah.
They just took a whole bunch of OnlyFans girls, and Instagram models, and just a whole bunch of models gave them Bang energy drinks and said, "Hey, go out there and be you."
It's even easier when you're Bang because the reality is the guy that owns Bang, the VPX owner, he's a fucking billionaire to begin with. That dude is crazy money.
Well,
so then it's even easier.
Yeah. Well, the thing is,
throw some money on some of those girls and they'll do fucking
Well, we know.
Yeah.
And then what's funny with Bang is, Bang, the RTD drink itself, was the 5th version. He actually had 4 things he created that were Bang that failed. He had a protein bar,
I remember that. Yeah.
a liquid creatine.
The pumpkin flavored protein bar. I actually used to like it.
Yes, that's the only one people like.
Zero Impact, though, was called at first.
But it had like creatine in it. That was the problem.
Yeah.
They were putting creatine. They had liquid creatine. They had 4 other things. They all failed.
Right.
And then the RTD drink went crazy. Like, I mean, Pepsi literally bought the distribution for $1 billion.
Oh, did they?
$1 billion.
Wow.
$1 billion.
Fuck.
Just to distribute it.
Yeah.
Not to own it.
Yeah.
Just to sell it, to be the only one.
Shit.
So yeah, dude, the whole fucking thing is insane, man. But yeah, that's the whole basically the gist of the coaching, and that's what kind of separates Tim and a lot of other coaches that are actually really good. They're just kind of hidden behind the scenes because they're all, you have this clout of all this fucking shit that kind of gets in front. But just to touch base on all those codes, guys, it's like, look, just believe in what you're promoting.
Yeah,
that's really what it comes down to.
And I would say wait until you can actually comprehend that too, because it's easy to say that, and like I imagine when I first started, somebody said something to me, but I probably still got a boner the first time somebody threw an ambassador idea at me. You know what I mean? And the reality is, like, you just wait until you can really comprehend that, and you're actually like not just using a supplement from a company where it's like, oh, I take that pre-workout, so I really like this company, or because you watched a YouTube video or some stupid shit like that from them. Wait until you can actually like stand by whatever it is that you're promoting. Wait until it is that you are maybe using that entire line, or like actually investing your time yourself into that product and or company or whatever you want to call it before you go crazy with getting behind it. That would be my thing.
Right, because and then finally, the code isn't going to make you who you are. Okay,
Right.
That you put in the name of the company, your hard work and what you do is going to make you. I know people that don't have a single code, but if you're looking for followers, they could have 20, 30, 40, 50,000 followers.
Yeah.
But what they do and what they present speaks wonders. Like, there's a guy named Kyle in Egg Harbor, for example. He's a pro, younger dude. He's a cop, everything, the whole nine. Doesn't have a code, nothing, not a single fucking company, right? But he's humongous, growing in Instagram like crazy. Why? Because he's fucking basically lifting trucks, 800 squat, 800 deadlift, fucking 600 bench. But he's just all hard work. But he's not even shopping for that. He's got companies hitting up all the time.
Right.
And he's like, nah, it's just not right.
Yeah.
So that speaks a lot more. Just kind of believe in it
100%.
and just understand that it's not what's going to make you who you are at the end of the day. So, but I'll touch bases on that. And then here's the important question I want to ask, just to help you guys. So there's a couple of things I would ask you, Tim, to just let people know is, let's say if somebody's a beginner, okay? What's the best advice you can kind of give to them? What about somebody that kind of maybe reached the plateau, they're stuck, they're not working with anybody? Is it the right thing for them to do? And also, another route is somebody that maybe they're thinking of competing, and they have bro science enticing them one way to go versus what they should really be doing.
Right. So I guess we'll start with the last one first, right? The competitor that you said is looking at the two different routes.
Yeah. So basically, like you're in a gym, you're working out, you're in shape, you want to compete, okay? But then there's different routes.
Yeah.
There's your NPC, right? There's your dirty route, right?
Right.
And then there's your natural route. But just in general, like there's just a competitive route. Right. What do I do? How do I go about it? Like, this is what's being spit out at me.
Yeah. See, I would say, when it comes to competition, take your time. That's one of those things where you see it all the time, especially, for a few years there was a lot of people that were getting on stage. When Men's Physique was coming around, when Bikini was coming around, a few years into that, you just saw a lot of people hopping into the idea of contest prep. And for them, it was maybe an association with just the way they look. Yeah. When the reality is there's a process involved with this, and that process is very demanding. It's going to end up being priority number one at different phases of your life, at different times of the year. And if you're not ready for that kind of commitment, that's a tough thing to really latch on to super early on. So just make sure that you're ready for that type of commitment. And if it's something that you really want to progress in, then it's going to take time anyway. So why not? What I try to get people to do is, if they've come to the conclusion that they want to compete, great. Let's set a 12-month plan, right? The first 6 months, let's go hard. Let's eat hard. Let's train hard. Let's learn those two things first. It's a lot easier to learn how to follow a meal plan or your macros or whatever it is that you're tracking. It's a lot easier to do that when there's not this stress hanging on top of you of, I only get to eat 150 grams of carbs. I only get to eat, 45, 50 grams of fat. I only have this left in the day. It's a lot easier when you're looking at a meal plan that's, starts at 250 grams of carbs, 275, 300 grams of carbs, whatever it might be. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot less stress involved at that point. So you go in there with the right intentions initially. It's going to pay dividends later on when it does come prep time. The best preps are always after the best off seasons. And when I say that, I mean the off seasons where you're putting in the most effort. In terms of the amount of food that you're consuming. Specifically to me, that's the biggest thing. I see kids under consuming all day long. It's like, they come to me, I want to do my first men's physique show, I want to do my first bikini show, and I'm not just picking on them, which I usually do, but that's most common. They'll come to me and say they want to do that first show, and I get their meal plan in terms of what they've been doing for the last few months, and they're already eating, meals 1 through 4 with no carbs, and post-workout they have a carb shake or whatever it might be. It's like, no, dude, that's not how you start a diet. That's not how you start a diet. That's the tail end of a diet. At worst, that's the tail end of a diet. You know what I'm saying? How you want to go into a diet is loaded to the gills, and like I said, disciplined as hell about it. But I would say take your time with the contest prep route, and then when you get to the point where you're ready to go, honestly, dude, I don't see this as bro science and then science-based approach. I see it as, what's the most effective route possible, and usually it's a cross between those two. It's a line straight down the middle where it's like, yeah, we want to be cautious of all the things we know about via science. We want to comprehend all those things that we know about via, I guess, science. But at the same time, we have this bro science approach or this other approach that's worked really fucking well for a lot of fucking people up until the last few years that science has become more involved with physique augmentation world or competitive physique world. For me, it's like, okay, well, let's take a little bit of what we know works here, be cautious of these things that we know we have to be cautious about over here, and ride that fucking shit until we do come to the point where it looks like we might be seeing a problem, and then use a little bit of the science and a little bit of that, bro, to kind of, handle those problems that might pop up. Does that make sense?
It does. I think it does.
Yeah.
110%. I think a lot of people don't realize what mentally happens in that 12-week prep. You have to be selfish. Bodybuilding is the most selfish fucking sport in the whole entire world.
Yep.
If you have a significant other that doesn't go to the gym or isn't into fitness, you're going to have a very difficult relationship.
Yeah.
Very difficult. It's extremely selfish, and the most, in my personal opinion, from personal experience and just from dealing with people, is it's not, your results will literally come through that 12 weeks is if you still keep putting the work in and staying disciplined, versus worrying about how much other drugs I can add into my diet to make me look a certain way.
Right.
The chemistry will fuck you up.
Yeah.
It will mess you up.
And are you talking about from the emotional and mental health
standpoint? Yeah. Because if you're emotionally have we're all body dysmorphia, it gets even worse. Okay. If you're emotionally and stressfully getting messed up, and you're not realizing that, okay, maybe you're not being disciplined, maybe your stress is going through the roof, maybe you're not pushing your workout like you're supposed to, maybe you're not resting, because all you keep thinking about is, well, maybe if I have more chemistry in this, then it'll work. You're done.
Yeah.
Like, those chemicals will just keep putting you backwards.
Yeah.
I learned that hard work, like right there, can literally make 10 times better results than any other multiple chemicals added into the mix. Because I think the social media creates that, well, that pro is that way because that's all he relies on. Man, that pro right there is a fucking animal.
Yeah.
Because he can sit there and not grab anything else to eat and manage to deal with his hunger and all emotional issues and just keep pounding away like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Because I don't think people truly don't understand what dieting is. Like, again, because we're gonna go back to bikini, like bikini competitors. I see a lot of them. Bikinis. It's easy to get into and do it, just like physique, because there's so much good and just average.
Right.
So you can easily just, even if you fall on average, you can still do very good at the shows.
Right.
But if I ever see a physique person or bikini and like they're like 3 weeks out or 2, let's just say 3, and they're smiling. You're like 8 weeks out probably still.
Exactly.
Like, I've never met anybody that's just truly happy 2 weeks out.
Fuck no.
Like,
God no.
You know what I mean? Or looks, or even 2 weeks out, looks pleasing to the face.
Right.
Like, we look horrible.
Yeah.
Fucking horrible.
Right.
2 weeks out. Like, we look like we're like Skeletor on our
I definitely
face.
wouldn't have a shaved face.
Yeah.
So
it's that we look so horrible.
Right.
I remember my wife did her first bikini show. She fucking killed it. She was so disciplined. Like, she shits on just my discipline alone. I mean, She's a hairdresser. She woke up in the morning, did her fucking hour fasting, breakfast, worked till like 8 o'clock, hairdressing, then went to train, right? Didn't go to bed till like 11,
Right.
midnight sometimes, and just kept repeating, right?
Yeah.
So, and then every day, are you okay? You look sick. You look hungry. What's going on? What's wrong? That's all she kept hearing.
Yeah.
Because she was sucking in like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
It was so bad that she started telling certain clients that she's the sister, and they were leaving it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay, well, tell her that it's a good. I never knew she had a sister.
Shit.
Because of that. And then she did the show, first, second, like literally in the Easterns.
Nice.
Right, killed it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, first show. And then a week later, 10 pounds right back. They're like, oh my God, why do you look so good? Like, yeah, this is how it works.
Yeah.
Like, you look horrendous. The day before, you still look bad.
Right.
The day of the show, you look amazing.
Right.
And then 10 days later, you look back to normal, but even better.
Yeah.
So, like, it's like a process, but yeah, it's, again, when I see that, I'm like, nah, you're not there yet.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm literally in the middle of training sessions, like trying to figure out like how do I stand up for the rest of this training session without looking like a douchebag to my client because I'm sitting on my ass counting the reps the whole time. Like, yeah, it's awful. Or in my head, I'm like, honestly, when I'm in prep, because I do have the luxury of doing a lot of work at home, I'll literally think to myself, like, fuck, do I really want to go do that, whatever it is outside the house? I'm like, I'm gonna be gone for 3 hours. Like, that's just too much for me. Yeah, it's just too much for me to handle. I'd rather stay inside. Like, I'm a homebody as it is. When it comes to prep, I'm going out the most minimal amount of time.
I loved being able to take extra work during prep, because then I have to worry about just eating and working all day long.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing else getting in a way. Right. So, but again, that's the whole competitive side. Yeah. Now, what about the beginners?
So
they're just starting out people.
I mean, honestly, I think that's one of those things where there's a very real overcomplication side of the beginner for the just wants to look good. Mm-hmm. But then there's also the side of it to where they have no fucking clue what they're doing, and they're not overcomplicating shit. They eat. They think they eat healthy, but the reality is
they're really overcomplicated.
Yeah. Well, I would say it goes both ways. I would say they're either overcomplicating it or they have no fucking clue.
Yeah.
And there's really no gray area there, it seems like. But I would say for the person, first and foremost, you touched on the idea of prep being all-consuming, right? Mm-hmm. Or a priority. We both did. I would say some people that want to look like they're one of those competitors that they're looking at, you're not far off. You're not far off. A lot of that lifestyle is very consuming too.
Correct.
Even if you don't want to step on a stage, but you want to be that lean and shredded, like, don't get it twisted, dude. Just because you're not stepping on stage doesn't mean you're not rocking that lifestyle until somebody's about 4 weeks out and we actually start to look like we're about, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's a tough road in and of itself there too. So first and foremost, kind of decipher that. If you want that kind of elite look to yourself, you're going to have to take an elite path. There is no half-assing it. There's no way around that, unless you're genetically gifted. And genetics are a huge part. If I told you how shitty I am genetically and the things that I have to do to be able to like compensate for that, it's fucking immense. It is immense compared to what most people might think. Patrick looks like he ate me for breakfast. I can tell you right now, Patrick's way more gifted than me. It's helped me a lot with my coaching too, though, because I do have to take all these other. So at the end of the day, it's one of those things where you have to put that in perspective. And the one thing that I tell people is like, listen, dude, I can make you the best version of you, but I can't turn a poodle into a pit bull.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And for me, I'm a poodle. Like, I can't turn into a pit bull. I know that, but it took me a long time to really like accept that, comprehend that, and realize that. You know what I'm saying? So I would have made probably 10 times more results and had a better physique than I do now if I just comprehended that early on instead of trying to push through thinking that I needed to do more and more and more mm-hmm. to get that elite level look. So, regardless of whether somebody wants to compete or not compete, if you want to look a very specific way, realize that it is a very demanding process in and of itself, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to just random weight loss, that's a little bit of a different story. When it comes to living the best life that you could possibly live and improving certain factors of your life through nutrition, through training, through health, that's a little bit of a different story. And then you never know where that goes. You might develop some discipline to where you want to take it to that next level. But I would say decipher where it is that you really want to go and comprehend that path right out of the gate, right? But if you're somebody that's overthinking things, sometimes you just need to step back and realize that there are two major components to this, right? Am I training enough in terms of how hard you're training? And am I eating well enough, consistently enough? And really, dude, when you do those two things, it's really hard to be out of shape.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
The problem is people overcomplicate that in terms of like, you know, nuances in the gym where they're trying to fucking look at it from like leverages and angles and fucking doing fucking, you know, flies from here, and like doing fucking sideways press chests and sideways leg
if you
press.
do a circle and then spin around 10 times and bench press, you'll get a bigger
It's
chest.
all fucking waste of your time. Like just go in there and hit a fucking X amount of movements as hard as you fucking can. And early on, learn how to train to failure, dude. Learn how to train to actual, true-on failure. Because I'll tell you right now, later on in life, you know, it's not as easy to be able to do that with regularity. So if you're waiting to learn what true intensity and true failure is in the gym until you get to later in life, it's a lot harder to be able to push that envelope at that point. You know what I mean? And now you're stuck playing different cards, like a volume card or whatever it might be later in life. So if you're a younger individual, go into the gym and learn how to do that shit to the death of you within like literally one working set. Like, how do I take this one working set to absolute maximum like intensity? While being safe, of course. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I really try to get people, especially the younger ones, to understand what it's like to actually work hard. And I say that for women more than I do men. With men, it's almost like we have this inherent fucking male testosterone, like that way about us to where we want to go in and work hard. With women, it's like I put women through a really hard set. And when they get to that rep where they're like, you know, and I want them to grind that rep out, I want them to grind 3 more out by the time they get to that. But when they get to that, what happens? They're halfway through, they start to giggle. I'm like, no, that's not intensity. Like you got like groan or like do something. You know what I'm saying? Like scream a little bit or something. But don't giggle. But I mean, that's what you see a lot with those people. That they're like, those are the ones they'll tell you like, I want the best physique that I can get. I want to be muscular. I want to be lean. I want to have a 6-pack. But yet they're in the gym giggling when things get really hard. And I would say for a guy, you know, when it gets really hard, that's when you drop the weight. You rest for 60 seconds or whatever it is, and then you're going for your second set. You do the same thing, then you rest, and you're going for your third set, then your fourth set. And then when you're done with your workout, you did 3 or 4 sets in 10 to 12 reps. And what did you really get accomplished there? You worked until it got to a point where it was uncomfortable, but you didn't find that uncomfortable spot and live in that uncomfortable spot for a while. So I would say if you really want to see a change in the way your body looks, training to me is as important as nutrition, hands down. People say 80% this, 20%. It's 100%, 100%. But when it comes to training, you gotta find that 100%. Push that 100% and make that 100% something new. Almost every single week in the gym, you got to find a new 100%. And if you're not continually chasing that, you know, you're going to end up with less change in your body than you think that you're going to get from the gym, right? And then when it comes to nutrition, what I would say is, and I stress this so much with my clients, like, dude, nobody ever in the history of man ever got fat from chicken and rice. Ever. No. Nobody ever got fat from ground beef
and it's white rice. Because everybody's
white
like brown rice.
100%. No,
stop eating brown rice.
Bro, that killed me for years, dude.
Oh, God.
Years and years. I remember getting on Instagram, one of the initial, and seeing like, you know, a thing of brown rice and a thing of white rice, and like, what's the difference between
and how much better it is for
I'm
brown
like, dude,
rice?
come on, man. Like, are we really still on this shit? And now we're fucking, it's 2020. I'm talking about 2013, and we're still on the same shit. Like, brown rice is not something that's a necessity to fucking live the healthiest life. No. It's not. If anything, it's fractionally better than white rice in the very minute ways, and I would say you could easily argue that white rice is better just due to the digestibility of it.
Right, because if you're trying to eat multiple meals and you got brown rice in your stomach, you're fucked.
Yeah, you get gassy, you're cramping, and like that's all the phytic acids causing inflammation and blah 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 blah. At the end of the day, I've never ever had anybody where I'm like, okay, the answer for you is brown rice ever. In fact, I don't think I've ever put brown rice on a plan ever in my entire life.
I think I would fire you if I hit you.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, seriously.
Probably. And then to touch on a failure piece, one tip for failure, right? Failure doesn't mean it hurts, right? So like you're doing a set and it hurts really bad, so you stop. Failure means you cannot move.
Yeah, you
that range of motion even 10 or 20%.
When it hurts, you just found the point to where you're actually pushing a new step.
And you have to keep going.
Yeah, you have to.
Yes.
You absolutely have to. And that's what we're talking about, seeing a difference in the way your body looks, right? And a lot of times I feel like that gets confused with exercise or like exercising for general health or like working out. And it's like, dude, that's cool that you work out, but if you want to see a difference in the way your body looks now, if you want that tight toned sleek arm that most females want, like
That's
you're
that
gonna have to
density.
build cap delts. Like you're gonna have to actually, when you're in the gym and when you're trying to build a physique, you are literally dragging your fucking physique to that fucking finish line every single time. You have to force your body to do these changes. Your body doesn't want muscle, dude. It doesn't. That's metabolically active tissue. From a survival standpoint, our bodies are built, which is what our bodies are built for, survival, right? Your body is built to reproduce as a female. Your body is just built to survive. And at the end of the day, when you're asking your body to build more metabolically active tissue that costs energy for your body to sustain this metabolically active tissue, you're taking away from the body's inherent ability to be able to survive by doing that, right? So it doesn't want to build this tissue. You're making it do the exact opposite of what it wants. It wants to chill every day, build some fat stores. That's what it wants to do as far as survival is concerned. And we're taking our body so far out of that world and putting it into something different. You bet your ass you got to beat yourself into submission to be able to get that. And it's like, I always say that with the caveat of be careful, because then you see the asshole in the gym that's doing something fucking crazy and like throwing fucking curls around and squatting with it, throwing their hips through the mirror and all this weird shit. But the reality is, most people, it's honestly more far and few between today that you see that in the gym than it was even 5 years ago. Because there is more information out there.
I see it more in the beginners.
I would say what I see more often though in the gym are people working leisurely, are people working to a capacity which it'll never make them grow.
They're comfortable with,
And that's why when you go to a commercial gym, you can argue with me all day, but when you go to a commercial gym and you signed up to the same gym for the last 5 years, look around next time you're in that gym and tell me, which one of those people have actually changed. And I would even go one step further, because you might know that one client that, oh wow, she lost like 60 pounds, she's changing her life, she did some Arbonne shakes or Arbonne, whatever the fuck that mail order shake thing is. She changed the way she looks. I'm talking about somebody that actually looks muscularly different. Somebody that's put on a significant amount of tissue one way or another. Even if they're leaner now, at some point they had to do something to build those cap delts, to build that V taper, to build those quads. You know what I'm saying? To give a certain streamlined look to their physique. Those people, you need to look at them and see what they're doing. With again the caveat to that point where some people are just genetically gifted and those fuckers get away with it no matter what anyway.
There's a very small amount of people, but yeah.
But yeah, as far as the food is concerned, to go back on that, like I would tell people like over and over and over again, female, male, it does not matter. It doesn't matter. Eat fucking food. Stop being afraid of the fucking food. The most frustrating thing in the world as a coach is to get these people that aren't eating anything. Because when you come to me and you're not eating any food, I'll expand on that in a minute. But when you come to me and you're not eating any food, it makes my job so much fucking harder, and it makes our process so much longer. Yeah. If I had a female that came to me eating 300 grams of carbohydrates, 120 grams of protein, and 55, 65 grams of fat a day, and said, I'm ready to lean up. Did you hear that on the microphone? My stomach is growling already. Fasted.
Because you keep talking about food.
Yeah, no, but if I had a female come to me on those macros or on that meal plan, and they're like, I'm ready to lean up, I'd be like, fucking great, dude. Let's not even touch the food. Let's just add in a few sessions of cardio here. Start your morning with 30 minutes, and let's go from there. You know what I'm saying? But I guarantee we pull 50 grams of carbs from that, or a solid 250, 275 calories from that, I bet you they start to drop immediately. What I get is every general population female in the world coming to me saying, well, I eat really well. Okay, what are you eating? Well, I have coffee for breakfast. Then I have a Greek yogurt for lunch. Sometimes I'll go get pizza with the girls at work.
Or have a salad.
Or have a salad, and then when I go home, I'm not really hungry, so I'll just have, a protein shake. And that's not healthy, man. Nothing's healthy about that. Nothing. And take out the pizza and replace it with the salad. And if you think that's healthy, you're still fucked. Correct. You're not eating enough to sustain basic metabolic process in the body, to sustain or to mitigate the effects of stress that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, to recover from that hard training that we just talked about, to fuel performance of that hard training that we just talked about. You're not eating enough for just basic everyday processes in terms of the schedule that you make your body go through with work, feeding the kids, doing all the shit that we're expected to do nowadays in this society. Like, that's a very costly process for the body. I wear an app every day that tracks my expenditure, and on days that I don't do shit, and I'm just looking, I'm literally sitting at my dining room table on the computer for 8 straight hours, and then I'm on the couch the rest of the night. Like, those are the days where I'll literally burn like 2,000 calories just from that.
From nothing, yeah.
From nothing. I'm just burning 2,000 calories. Meanwhile, I get somebody's diet that's the same size as me, which is tiny, and I get their skinny fat diet, and they're eating fucking 1,600 calories a day. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And they're like, I'm not losing weight. No shit, you're not losing weight.
Your body's turned off.
Yeah, 100%. Why would it lose weight when you're only feeding it 1,600 calories for the last God knows how many years? You know, so I would tell people, eat, and eat, and don't be afraid of eating. And remember that when you start eating, yes, your scale is going to go up.
That's a given,
100%
yeah.
your scale is going to go up. I use the analogy all the time of beef jerky versus filet mignon, right? And like when you have your muscle and you're only eating Chobani Greek yogurts, coffee, and salads, your muscle is going to look like beef jerky, right? But if I took the same 5 ounces of meat and I made it filet mignon, that filet mignon is fucking thick. It's juicy. It's delicious looking. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's the way we want that muscle. But look at the difference between those 2 5-ounce pieces, right? They weigh the same, right? But one looks deflated, flat, with nothing in it. The other one's thick and juicy and looks delicious. Yeah. We need to make everybody's muscle look like that filet mignon, but that's going to cost you scale weight. That's going to be all the food and all the hydration that your muscle needs. That's going to cost you scale weight. But that scale weight is also indicative of better performance, better recovery, better overall health, right? Now, the reality is we always have that point though, right? There's a point where your scale might go up initially. It might go up initially. Some people it goes down, but it might go up initially at first, you know, but the reality is there's going to be that point where it stops going up and you find that place. And you can continue to eat food thereafter. You can continue to train really hard. And what training really hard over a long period of time does is create more of a demand for even more nutrition. You know, so the reality is people think that like if I eat endlessly, I'm going to gain fat. If you eat Sour Patch Kids and fucking Lean Pockets like I was talking about before, and you eat like a fucking idiot endlessly, 100% you're going to get fat. But it is this is the crazy thing. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, you know, I can eat a lot of... Fuck you can't eat a lot of calories when you're eating it from chicken and rice.
No.
Like you can't.
It's hard,
really,
man.
really hard to overeat, to binge, to have areas, to have places where you're getting excessively fat or you can't control your weight when you're eating good quality single ingredient foods over and over and over and over again. And then on top of that, that might sound boring, or for some people it's like, I can't do. Well, listen, that's a prerequisite, okay? You want to look the best you could possibly look. The reality is you're going to have to find a way to eat, you know, a diet that's comprised of primarily proteins, you know, good carbohydrates, and probably a lot less hyper palatable food. So food that's loaded with things like saturated fats, sugars, you know, together, things that make that palate go wow. Yeah. You know, those are foods that are going to trigger the binge eating, the excessive weight gain, all that different type of stuff. So if you're going to get in really good shape, you know, even if you're tracking macronutrients or you have a little bit more freedom with your diet, the reality is those things are probably going to, you know, the hyper palatable foods are probably going to be decreased pretty tremendously relative to a diet where they are excessive and people are gaining fat, right? So what I'm saying here is, you know, even with the most flexibility in a diet, you're probably looking at like 75 to 80% of your food consumption a day being those foods where it's really, really, really hard to gain fat from, and then maybe you sprinkle a little bit of stuff on top. You know what I mean? Maybe I have some granola in my oatmeal. Maybe I have some, you know, I don't know, fucking whatever you want. You know, I don't know, whatever. I personally have a lot of frozen French fries in my diet right now that I throw in the air fryer and I cook up. Okay. You know what I'm saying? They're only 5 grams of fat. Yeah, it's easy for me to get those carbs in at a certain point. You know, that's a sprinkle on top. You know, maybe I'll have some burger buns on a regular basis, which is kind of a sprinkle on top for me. But there are times where I have a lot of sprinkle on top type of foods is what I like to call it. Yeah. But that's because 80% of my caloric load comes from, or 80% of all my clients' caloric load comes from these foods that are really, really, really hard to get fat from. So never, ever, ever, ever be afraid to eat. You know, just look at the foods that you're eating and ask yourself, like, am I getting most of my calories from the right places? You know what I'm saying? Because if you're trying to supplement your diet with fucking fast food or pizza, and I would say to expand on that just a little bit further before I let you take the mic back, the reality is, this is not my biggest issue with the world right now, especially when it comes to this whole industry and the general population, even competitors, is like the reality of what quote unquote true balance is. And people think, okay, well, if I eat like Tim's talking about right now, Monday through Friday, Then Saturday and Sunday I can have pizza. Saturday and Sunday I can drink with my friends and watch football games. Saturday and Sunday I can have pancakes for breakfast. Or, okay, duh, Tim, of course we can't do that. We got to eat healthy all the time, but I'm going to have my one cheat meal. You know what I'm saying? There's times where that one cheat meal isn't even going to cut it, man. Like, you can't have that as part of your diet sometimes, especially when somebody's new and they are a beginner, and in their mind it's like, you know, well, I'm a beginner, so I can have this. No, you're the motherfucker that needs to learn discipline. Yeah. You have to learn how to be able to integrate those foods into your diet without going overboard. Yeah. Because a lot of people, the minute they have those hyper-palatable foods, the minute you have that slice of pizza, that one mozzarella stick, that burger and fries, whatever it is, your entire night is fucking shot now. You're not getting back on your plan. You know, it ends up being that weekend binge.
Because the neurons, kick
exactly.
in. That's why usually, like, whenever I have a cheat meal sprint in a week, it's the last meal.
Always. That's why I tell my clients, always the last meal of the day. Mm-hmm. Always. You try to have that pancake breakfast with bacon and everything.
You're done for the week.
Yeah, you're done for the day, dude. You're not getting back. Fuck you. And then remember, all those foods are cooked in a way where they digest a lot slower because of the amount of oils and stuff.
It slows you down, everything.
Yeah, so even if you did get back on your plan, you're now a solid 6 hours later, you're thinking about food again. You know what I'm saying? So I would tell people when you're starting, regardless of where the eventual route is, eat and use that time to learn how to be as disciplined as possible, because you are eating so much food. You'll be comfortable from a hunger standpoint, but you have to learn how to be uncomfortable from a craving standpoint, because there's a big difference there between hunger and cravings. And I would say with my clients, 14 days, no cheat foods whatsoever. I don't want anything.
To get familiar with
even then, what I try to do, especially if I notice somebody has an issue with cheat meals, I change the verbiage here. I fucking hate the idea of cheat meals. Hate it. Mm-hmm. I call them free meals, because to me, the word cheat just signifies, okay, I'm going to eat whatever the fuck I want.
Yes.
And then I know when I started eating whatever the fuck I wanted, turned into my cheat meal the first couple of times was literally eat until I'm going to fucking throw up. And I'm literally laying on the bed with my knees curled up, and I'm like, fuck. I can still fit that pint of Ben & Jerry's. I know I can.
Because it's still within that time of the cheat meal.
Yeah, exactly. I just need another half an hour and I'll be good. Pass out from your carb coma, wake up a half an hour later, and you pound that fucking Ben & Jerry's. You know what I mean? But the reality is that's bad, dude. That's bad habits. It doesn't matter if, like, you see that person who was me. I got shredded doing that. You know, but at the end of the day, it was a bad habit that I had to work out of, especially when it came to after being shredded. You know what I mean? Which we've all been there post-show. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Those are bad habits that you have to get away from. So for me, I create the concept of a free meal instead of a cheat meal. And that free meal in a lot of cases, listen, I want you to stick to a solid lean protein. I want you to stick to a solid carbohydrate. You know, but if you want to add barbecue sauce, as far as make your chicken barbecued with, like, lather it with barbecue sauce, throw it on the grill or whatever. If you want rice and beans, if you want fucking this, that, and the plantains, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just saying that because you're Spanish, by the way. but the reality is, you know, go crazy with any free meal that you want.
Food,
Like, I had a guy check in a couple weeks ago and he sent me his meal. It was rice and beans. That's why I brought it up. It was rice and beans, avocado, like 8-ounce chicken breast barbecue with barbecue sauce all over it, and probably like another 6 ounces of scallops. And he was like, dude, you sure? And I was like, don't weigh anything. Just throw it all on a plate as much as you want. And if you're going to eat foods like that, have it and go with it. And he was like, you sure I can eat this whole plate? I'm like, go for it, dude. You're not going to get fat off of that.
Right.
Do it, bro. Do it. And I guarantee you're still ready for your last shake of the night.
It's a lot cleaner than actually going and buying a whole fucking thing from a...
Yeah, and like...
To a certain degree with digestion aspect.
Yeah, and I'm also the guy, and I know it's kind of like counter, but I'm the guy that hates the concept of, like, clean foods versus dirty foods. I just see foods that are very low in calories, foods that are very high in calories, and maybe something in between. But those foods that are high in calories, like I said, I separate those out too, where I'm like, is this a food where it's like, is that really going to benefit me in any way, shape, or form? Pizza is like the bane of my existence. Everybody fucking loves pizza. But the reality is, what does pizza really do for us? You know what I'm saying? It's fucking fat, it's fucking pepperoni on top, and fucking bread. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really what it comes down. Mac and cheese is another one where it's like everybody, for some reason nowadays, wants mac and cheese. And like, where the fuck does mac and cheese cheat meal come from?
Mac and cheese.
Yeah, well, whatever. That's my kid's food. You know what I mean? Mac and cheese. But whatever. Mac and cheese has been one that I've had a lot of women actually ask for recently.
Yeah.
It's like, what real good are we getting out of this mac and cheese? Like, what are you really going to benefit from this mac and cheese? Like, can we change that up to something just a little bit fucking different? Make some homemade, like, fucking, I don't know, mashed potatoes or something like that. Yeah, like, I don't know where the mac and... But anyway, the reality is I try to get people to really see food like that, where it's like, okay, what real good is this? Am I going to eat this just for the fact that I want to eat it? And listen, maybe that's the case once in a while. You know, I'm not telling people to live an entire life without pizza, but just realize if you're eating it just because you want to eat it, just because you want that taste
It's
in
that
your
craving
mouth,
thing with the neurons and everything. And
right?
you
Realize why you're having it, but then also understand that why isn't justification enough to be able to eat this every week. It's not justification enough. Like, I'm sorry, but listen, most people are not going to get in great shape having pizza once a week. No. They're just not. I'm sorry. Like, the reality is, it's far and few between the person that has the discipline to eat fucking 4 slices of pizza one Saturday night and then do the rest of their life what they need to do in order to get stage lean and get in shape, or, you know, get that body of their dreams or whatever it is. It's just not reality for most people. So realize that when you are having that 4 slices of pizza, or more than that in my case, you know, that's fine, but I'm honestly a perfect example where I used to do that every weekend when I was younger. Now I try to have something like pizza where maybe it's like once a month.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's more realistic for me to maintain the shape I have, maintain the physique, maintain my general health markers. And like I said, if anybody, I'm a perfect example for those really shitty genetics where I can't do much of anything one way or the other.
And it spills over. I know what you mean.
Whether it's spilling over from food in terms of shitty food and consumption, I'm also, you know, I can eat a lot of that clean food like we were talking about, but the shitty food, it fucks up everything for me. And my digestion goes, my insulin sensitivity goes. But I can say that about everything. I can't push supplements because I get all the side effects. Mm-hmm. I can't push my training because I don't recover from it. Like, my genetics just suck.
Yeah.
But
so,
anyway.
Guys, on that point, just so that way you're not sitting here for 15 hours, because listen, Tim talks. And I talk too.
Oh, yeah.
So I minimize myself to how much I start talking.
Shit, I'm sorry.
No, I did it myself because when I started talking. So, guys, again, this is Tim. There's so much more to this. There really is. I really, guys, wanted you to get to know Tim, get an idea of some of the podcasts going forward. More information will be directly underneath all the posts and YouTube video and so forth. So you can get to meet him. You'll see a lot reposted on the IG story. And Tim, thanks again.
Of course, man. Appreciate you having me.
For having this. And guys, thanks for checking in. Thanks for checking out the video. And see you again soon.